There's not a greater intro in all of WWE, or at least NXT anyway.
I'm here for it.
Exactly. Welcome to the Plate Exchange, our first TikTok live edition of Plate Exchange. We didn't really announce that we were going to do this, so I'm not expecting much, but hey, I might get surprised.
We have 18 people right now. I know.
Bless y'all.
19.
Oh, don't get my hopes up like that. Hey, keep going. But this is our show. Those of us who have followed us over from our other social medias, this is what we do. It's one of our shows for On the Ring Apron, subsidiary of the Mania Club. We're right over here, sporting the new Mania Club 39 shirt. I didn't get a chance to show it off on our last live. I was behind the camera the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So finally getting to bust this out. But what we do is we actually get a little bit of heads up in terms of any new side plates that come with our NXT and, of course, the WWE main roster as well. And as soon as we have access to them, we put them on our custom championship belts, our replicas that we have here. We always try to do our best to try to keep this as live as possible, but also keeping things, fun, get out the information and the new plates as soon as we can. A couple of them we've seen before, maybe on other championship belts, like our new NXT champion Carmelo Hayes, defeating Bron Breakker at Stand and Deliver to win the NXT championship. We've actually had his plates on our show before when he won the North American championship. We also have a first-time new NXT women's champion in the form of the longtime veteran and now, main roster bound superstar in Indi, Hartwell, winning the NXT women's title. We've got that here, so we'll be showing this here shortly. But Alyssa, get a nice zoom in on that.
Some nice stuff, yeah.
It is. Look at that. Look at the rainbow shininess.
Some nice. Hey, Kia.
Watching from the other room.
We love the support.
Our moderator in full run as well. And we also have new NXT women's tag team champions as well. That ended up going all the way back to Vengeance Day, an event we attended in Charlotte a couple of weeks ago, I guess months now.
Yeah.
But we've been waiting very patiently for the new champs, Alba, Fyre, and Isla, to get their plates. They haven't even received them yet, so we're not going to have copies of them yet.
Right.
But bless them, hopefully they'll be able to get a set. They're, of course, defending the championships here in a couple of hours against also main roster bound Caden Carter and Katana Chance, the former champions. Seems like the perfect opportunity for send-off matches for both of them. So we'll go ahead and move through each of them here. We'll bring this back out. This is our main point here earlier, as you heard from the nice theme music at the very beginning. Please don't copyright us too badly.
Please do not.
But our first championship swap was, as we mentioned, for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. The former champions were Fallon, Henley, and Kiana James. We did have their plates on ours as well from where they were the champions. However, they were bested at NXT Vengeance Day back in February by the, I guess you'd call... evil divine group of Isla and Alba. Definitely a force to be reckoned with. They, of course, won their rematch as well to ensure that they kept the championships. And right now they are the current holders going into their championship rematch tonight against Katana and Caden. Both sets of teams are main roster bound. Alba and Isla getting the surprise last Friday that they're going to Friday Night SmackDown. And then Caden and Katana also getting the news that they're going to Monday Night Raw. So congratulations to both of them. Both of them have absolutely represented NXT very well. But that also, of course, means this belt is going to get new plates here soon at some point. And when that happens, whether it's Caden and Katana or whether Alba and Isla finally get theirs, because that obviously means somebody's taking these titles to the main roster, at least for a little while.
Yes, they are.
We'll inevitably see which plate exchange we're going to be doing.
And yes, you did.
But moving to the first of our two in this double edition of Plate Exchange, we will start off with the NXT Women's Championship, which was originally held by Roxanne Perez. We have her plates on there already from a previous exchange that we did. But this championship title ended up changing hands. It was originally unsure whether Roxanne, due to her the nature of her defense against Miko Satomura in late February, as to whether she was even going to be able to defend the championship at Stand and Deliver. She ultimately was able to make it, but was unable to retain her championship, as with the help of on-screen hubby Dexter Loomis, it is the longtime NXT women's veteran Indi Hartwell winning the championship for the first time. She has successfully defended her championship twice already, once against Zoey Stark, and then recently a triple threat against Tiffany, Stratton, and Roxanne Perez.
Yes.
So definitely giving off the vibe that she wants to be a fighting champion. So we will go ahead and honor her with her new plates, which we do have here. Indi proudly showing off her versions of them on her Instagram a couple of nights ago, and we have been blessed enough to be able to get a copy of them as well. So we'll go ahead and get those on here for everybody to see. So this is usually the part where we either go to our audience if the followers have any comments, thoughts, anything like that, but also we let Alyssa kind of throw in her 2 cents as well, because, you know, she is not just a pretty face holding that camera. So we'll go to Alyssa first. Thoughts on Indi? We both picked her.
Yeah, we called her out. We called her a shot.
A couple of times, and she finally comes through, gets over that hump.
Hashtag index coming from Kia.
There you go.
Love to see it. No, I'm super happy for Indi. I feel like I've been watching her for a long time. I've always liked Indi. It's good to see her come into that confidence that we all have had for her, but now she's finally seeing it herself, you know? So it's good to finally see her get the push and also get called up.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the fact that she, you know, was kind of missing that confidence. I remember when they were electing who was going to be appearing at Iron Survivor back in December, you know, who was going to be in the Iron Survivor match. And I remember Indi getting put in, but I remember some of the veterans who were going to put her in there were kind of like, she has all the skills, all the looks, the abilities.
Talent. Yeah.
And she's beloved by the NXT universe. The only thing she's missing is just self-confidence within herself. And ultimately, she'd always be the one that seemingly would get to the title match, but wouldn't quite be able to, you know, get over that hump. But finally, getting her moment and at Stand and Deliver nonetheless, which is basically NXT's version of Wrestlemania.
Yes.
So, congratulations to Indi, and then, you know, just to conclude what was already a great month for her already.
Honestly.
Rewarding her with now her more than well-deserved spot on the main roster as well. It, of course, you know, by usual definitions likely means that her storybook run to the title and her title reign is likely going to be coming to an end here soon, because the expectation is that the NXT titles, even if they do appear on a main roster show, are probably not going to be staying on those champions for very long. So
yeah,
you start looking at, you know, Tiffany Stratton, Cora Jade, you know, definitely could put it back on Roxanne.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, the women's division is loaded. And, you know, and you're also going to see the entrance of a couple of new names, you know, like Jakara Jackson is definitely one who's going to be sitting up there. You know, you look at someone like Lash Legend, who, you know, has all the look and ability, but she's been kind of out of play for a while now. Does she return now that, you know, it's time for the next slew?
Right.
So, we'll see how it pans out, but in the meantime...
let's get a look at those plates.
Absolutely. Indi, congratulations. We picked you to win it,
yes,
and you did it. And suffice to say, while standing outside of that meet and greet, we jumped for joy as you got it done. So, congratulations, Indi, if you get a chance to see it. First of all, thank you so much for the appreciation when we sat here and asked you, you know, could we show off your new plates, and you was telling us, you know, I'd be honored. That was a huge deal to us because, you know, we love doing the show, but we also love it more when you have that fan interaction with the competitor behind it as well. You're back there laughing at something.
I am, because it's Kia in the comments. Oh.
You really just come standing here at this point, but... and deliver.
Oh, my God.
Missing
Play all day. Playing all day.
And that moves us to the second of the two of this front half, and that is also happening at Stand and Deliver, and that was the crowning of a new NXT champion.
Yes.
I think this one was one long overdue.
Absolutely.
As we've been calling it for a while, I remember our...
let's get a shot. Good look at the belt.
Yeah, there you go. But I remember our award show at the end of the year and talking about, like, what's the one thing in NXT that you absolutely want to see?
Yes.
And I remember us vividly saying,
Carmelo,
NXT title, or call-up.
Yes.
One of the two.
One of the two needed to happen.
One did happen, as he did successfully end the almost 1 year reign of Bron Breakker to finally win the championship. We've seen Carmelo's plates on here before, but we'll show them on here. Of course, he's been the North American champion before, so we've obviously, had no problem putting his plates on here in the past, but now we'll have an opportunity to do so here, replacing the Bron Breakker plates on the NXT championship. These two are scheduled to go at each other again in a rematch of that Stand and Deliver Classic on the 28th against each other at Battleground. Interestingly enough, neither of them getting a call-up.
I know.
The recent draft, I really thought Breakker was main event bound, or main roster
really
bound.
thought.
Carmelo was one that, especially with the women's champions, getting moved, you wondered, would they potentially move Trick and Carmelo? But ultimately, neither of them getting the call quite yet. And so it'll be interesting to see, that dynamic apparently is going to continue. And could we potentially see, a summer-long rivalry between Bron and Carmelo where they may trade the titles between each other a couple of times? Bron also, of course, with his new heel streak as well, certainly makes for an interesting change-up as well. But then you flip things to the other side, and let's say Carmelo's able to retain, because remember, it was Carmelo who called for the rematch, not Bron.
Right.
Bron didn't want it.
Bron was like, no, I'm done with that.
Well, Bron said it was something holding me back.
Yeah.
And, and I think he truly sat by it, but it's Carmelo that says, I'm not satisfied with the way that I won the title with Trick getting involved, and he wants to make sure that he has an opportunity to say that my win over you, Bron, was
legit. Yeah.
And so he wants that rematch. Bron's apparently going to give it to him.
Yep.
So we'll see how all that pans out. But let's go back to Alyssa here in terms of her thoughts. And you can talk about Bron or Carmelo, or we can talk about whomever. But a lot of big names in NXT. Some winning championships, some not having a chance to win titles.
Yeah.
Getting the call up to either Raw or SmackDown. Just general thoughts on that all the way around.
Oh, well, one, I see a comment that says they love the Bron heel. So, yeah.
Was that
I was waiting. Yes. Calm down. No, what was the question? I'm not playing with you.
General thoughts on the NXT call-ups. Is there one that surprised you? Is there one that, we talked about Indi.
We did talk about Indi. I was surprised that J.D. McDonough didn't get drafted. He didn't get drafted. He got selected afterward. I was surprised.
He got drafted, he didn't get that.
The TV, yeah. I was surprised about that one, and then I was surprised that it took them so long to take Grayson.
I was very surprised because by technical definition, Grayson was the last pick
exactly.
Of the draft. But you also looked at a guy who has that much star power in terms of his ability to provide that social media influence.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised that Grayson's wasn't televised.
Right.
Because I could see that one being one that was moved, and maybe Cameron Grimes should have been one that maybe fell on the side. But they had Grimes's be televised for his move to SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
And Grayson's ultimately wasn't. So, but, I look at most of the NXT call-ups, and I think they're all ready.
I think they're all ready.
I think so, because I think you're losing out on Grayson Waller's ability to be able to be a talented star both in and out of the ring. My God, pair him with The Miz, LA Knight. Can you imagine handing the two of them a mic?
Lord, they're gonna go back and forth all night.
Exactly, and I'm here for it.
Honestly, here for it.
LA Knight, yeah.
Versus Grayson Waller,
the shoey. But either way, but getting to it though, congratulations on this to our new NXT champion, and that is Carmelo Hayes, who is still going to be staying with the gold brand for now as our champion. His title reign just over a month right now. Will it stay that way, or is Bron Breakker going to be heading potentially towards reign number 3 in terms of his run with the NXT title? Of course, only one other person ever held the NXT championship 3 times. So that, would put Bron in certainly some elite company, because most people, after you get that first run, get a decent length, and then you're main roster bound. So for a person to get an opportunity to win a title 3 times is a big deal no matter where you are.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of, how things end up. So it's curious to see who's going to be the one that's going to, which one of them is going to walk out of Battleground with the gold. And then also, who's going to be the next one to step up? Because, if Grayson Waller got called up, you would always think he'd be one of the big names that would come up. Odyssey Jones, who I thought was definitely star-bound to hold this at some point. He got called up to Monday Night Raw.
I was glad to see him.
McDonough, another guy who could have done this, but yet names like Tyler Bate, Ilya Dragunov,
stayed in NXT.
Did not get moved off of NXT. So, it still seems like there's a lot of good pathways in here. Ultimately, you think Trick Williams is going to want, eventually his shot at it, whether it's against Bron or he turns on Carmelo, whatever.
Right.
So, that's kind of the joy of watching it. But, we'll see. But anyway, congratulations to our new NXT respective champions. Alba and Isla winning the NXT women's tag. We'll see if they can retain tonight on NXT. We've also still got Indi Hartwell and, of course, Carmelo Hayes holding the respective singles championships for the women and men, respectively. We're going to take a quick pause here. Be back in a couple of minutes here while I reset. And then we're going to do the post-WrestleMania main roster one. So we'll be right back.
Bye.